Well, Senator Nanrich, you're about to become the minority leader in the Florida Senate. What do you see ahead in this session?
I see a very challenging session. Obviously, we have budget will be the number one issue. We have, a new governor-elect who has made certain promises about cuts to property taxes and corporate income taxes, and those things all will affect what goes on in our community as far as public education and health care services, hospitals, nursing homes. So I think it's going to be a very challenging session.
Well, that raises a couple of questions. What is it going to be like for Broward County, an overwhelmingly Democratic county where Democratic gubernatorial candidate Alex Sink did win? Most of the legislators are Broward, and now it's an overwhelmingly, even more overwhelming Republican legislature. How is that going to work in terms of things that Broward needs and wants?
Well, I think it's really Broward is not that much different in terms of the rest of the state. I mean, when I talk about the needs in public education, it doesn't matter whether you live in Orlando or Tampa or Broward County. I mean, the same issues are going to be present in terms of trying to fund adequately a K-12 system, universities and colleges. So I think, I think it's going to be a steep learning curve for the governor, for the new governor, because when you talk about making those cuts, you have to think about when you talk about reducing taxes, then you have to think about where you're going to make the cuts, and those cuts will come from education all over the entire state. So I don't see it as solely a Broward issue. Whether you live in Dade County or Palm Beach County, the kids are going to have the same, and the teachers are going to be impacted the same way. So I think, as I said, it's a learning curve, and maybe as we move forward with the budget, the legislature, obviously, the budget is presented by the governor, but as you know, last year, I mean, Governor Christ's budget was kind of dead on arrival. And we'll have to see how this budget goes, and maybe the people in the legislature who understand the funding needs, I would hope, for some of these areas, will realize that we can't make those kinds of cuts and still provide the services needed in our communities.
What about the sort of, in terms of stuff, kind of parochial kinds of things, though, for Broward County? I mean, is the county at a disadvantage compared to what it used to be?
Well, I think some people would say that, but my feeling is that because we're in such a hole as far as a deficit with the budget to begin with, it means that those kind of pork issues and earmarks, if you will, we haven't been able to do those in the last couple of years. So I think it kind of levels the playing field for everybody, and we'll have to see how it works out. I mean, I think we have some Republican members, and to me, a lot of these issues should not be partisan issues. I mean, when you're talking about the quality of education for our school children, it really shouldn't be a Democratic or a Republican issue. And hopefully, at some point, it's about the priorities. And we have the children's movement that's been going on. We have Democratic and Republican and independent people on the state steering committee for the children's movement, because people, at least the people on that committee, certainly do understand that these issues should not be partisan issues. And I would hope that that's something that could come through here.
Yet you are going to be perhaps the leading partisan voice for Democrats in Florida now, because there aren't a lot of other voices that are going to be there. I mean,
yeah.
So how do you manage that role? Are you practicing sound bites, or how are you gonna make that work?
You know what? We're kind of in the middle of developing a strategy. I think that we have to be the voice of the loyal opposition. We are a two-party system, and there is a role for the minority party, and I think part of that role is to clarify when needs aren't being met, that is the role. I mean, one thing that they can't take away is our voices. We may not have the votes, but I think that it is our job to identify what the needs are, what is actually happening when you have cuts in certain areas, tax cuts, what impact that has. You know, we look at our municipalities and our counties. You know, they're going to be, all of them, all across the state are going to be impacted if you have a 19% property tax reduction. So, I mean, I think that, you know, I'm hoping that saner heads somehow will prevail as we move forward and realize that there's a certain role for government and certain services that need to be, you know, paid for and done through the auspices of government.
When you set out for this job a couple of years ago, did you imagine that you would end up being the voice of Democrats statewide?
No, I don't think I thought that. I actually, you know, thought that this, look, you know, I think the problem is you can't anticipate sometimes there's an external environment that takes over which you have no control. And really that's kind of what happened here. You know, all the races were nationalized as far as I can see. Up until almost the last week or so, we showed very close races, but somehow, in the end, the role of the president and what's happened on the federal level did kind of become viral and made its way all the way down from the federal races to the statewide races and then down to the state Senate and House races.
All right, Senator Rich, thank you.